Because for a simple reason, chapter 3 and chapter 5 are long chapters. Chapter 5 is more towards OCM or business studies, which will make you mug up more as a conceptual understanding is concerned. Chapter 3, let's jump into chapter 3. First, your institute says it's somewhere around 15 to 20%. So considering it will be 10 marks to maximum of 12 marks, that is what we can understand from this particular thing. Second, when you talk about stakeholders, we're going to talk about understanding what is a stakeholder. That is the first understanding. And the very, very important topic is Mendelow's matrix, which we cannot ignore. Secondly, strategic drivers. This is a very important topic of strategic drivers, which is talking about industry, markets, customers, product services, and channels. Then we move on to core competencies, which is a very, very clear cut, a case based question which you cannot ignore. You need to study this chapter, this question specifically from case based question point of view. Then we move on to SWOT analysis. Again, it is a case based question which we cannot ignore. It's an extremely important topic, which cannot be ignored. And to be very honest, one of the most easiest topic, because this is being done in business studies and a lot of exams previous to CA inter exams that you've studied. Potter's generic strategy, haath jod ke, request. Wherever you see Potter in your syllabus, you cannot ignore this man. If you ignore this man, you're ignoring the SM subject, which is going to it's going to be a roadblock in your success story of CA Inter. Potters cannot be ignored. Please, Potters cannot be ignored. Cost leadership is very interesting strategy where we reduce the cost. Differentiation, trying to create uniqueness. Focus, trying to segment on one particular group of customers. Best cost provider strategy is combination of all the three above. So this is what is the overview of the chapter is. We're going to first start with stakeholders. Let's jump directly into what is stakeholders. Let me highlight stuff. Let me bring things to you in live action. Stakeholders can be an individual or can be a group of people who are interested in the company's success and they can influence the organization. So, three things about stakeholders: can be an individual or group of people. Stakeholders can have interest in the company's success. And can stakeholders influence the organization? Yes, stakeholders can influence the organization. Who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are the employees, shareholders, customers, suppliers, regulators, and more. So these are basically who are the stakeholders. Who qualifies to be a stakeholder? Please note this. Stakeholders can be internal stakeholders, which are employees, management, board members, etc. Stakeholders can be external stakeholders, which can be shareholders, customers, suppliers, government, union, local, etc. So stakeholders are of two types. One is an internal stakeholder, one is an external stakeholder. Internal stakeholder means a stakeholder which is within the organization, like employees, like management, like board of members. External stakeholders are those which is outside the organization, like customer, shareholders, suppliers, government, etc. Now, identify key stakeholders. What do you mean by this? A really interesting thing. What do you mean by key stakeholders? Stakeholders vary in power. Vary in power that they can influence. There are some stakeholders who can influence more. There are some who can influence less. And there are some stakeholders who have interest in the company more and interest in the company less. What is the biggest problem in understanding this? A conflicting stakeholders' expectation can negatively impact the strategy. So it is very important to align the stakeholders in the right direction. After understanding this, there's a beautiful concept on Mendelow's matrix. My request to everybody, focus on this. This is a very important topic called Mendelow's matrix. Now, understand what is Mendelow's matrix. Mendelow's matrix is also known as what? Power interest matrix. It is a strategic tool to analyze and manage stakeholders. Power is the ability to influence the organization. Interest is the level of concern in the organization. There may be a possibility that a person can be a powerful but does not have interest in the organization. Let me just tell you, government. Government may be very powerful, but government is not interested in the organization's working. Whereas if you see customer has high influence in the business, but is not interested how company works. Is interested how the product works. There is a situation out here. Employee is very much interested how company works, but does not have influence or power to make a lot of changes in the company. So these are very interesting dynamics between power and interest. Let us combine power and interest and see what happens. So what is the purpose? What is the purpose? The purpose is allocate the resources effectively by focusing on stakeholders who matter most. Example, e-commerce startup investor, high power, high interest. He is a key player in the organization. While the lender of the bank is high power, but he is not interested in the business. So we need to keep them satisfied. Now, let me just tell you this entire diagram. Let me just scroll it down a little to show you what is happening. Okay. So this part, let me just write it. Okay. The upper side is called high power and the lower side is called low power. Okay. So this entire thing is upper side is high power, lower side is the lower power. Now this side, the left hand side is high. Left hand side. Do you see this left hand side? Yeah, this part. This is the right hand side. That is the left hand side. Okay. Now here there are people with interest, high interest. Here there are low interest. Now, so this makes it high power plus high interest. This is a segment. Here it is high power has what? Low interest. Here what it is? It is low power and low interest. Here what it is? We have low power, but the left hand side is high interest. Now, understand everything that is coming out of my mouth. High power, high interest people are called the key players of the market. We term it key players. They have significant influence and strong interest in the organization. Examples, shareholders, CEO, board of directors. What is the strategy? Engage closely, involved in decision making. So they are engaged closely in every business activity. They are involved in decision making and they maintain a strong relationship. So first thing, what are the three things that you need to understand? A high power, high interest person is known as a key player of the organization. They have too much interest in the organization and they are powerful to influence the organization's working. Second, CEO, board of directors, shareholders are key players in the market. Key players in the market, key players for the organization. What they do, what is their work? They are engaged closely in every activity of the organization and they can influence all the activities of the organization. So that is what I would say is they are key players because they have high power, high interest. Now, when we go to the yellow side, you see the high power with low interest. We call them keep satisfied. Why? These stakeholders can impact the organization but are less engaged. They are not engaged too much. For example, government. Now, is government interested in how the company works? No. Government is interested in are they following the rules and regulation? Are they following tax payment and everything? Major investors are also not interested in how the company is working. They are interested in their ROIs, return on investments. What is the main purpose? What should we do as a strategy? We need to keep them satisfied with regular updates to prevent any issues because they have too much power. They can close down our business if we don't keep them informing things. So therefore, there is a reason that you need to keep on informing them. Next, keep informed. Low power, high interest. Stakeholders are highly interested but lack significant influence. Low power with high interest, we will call them keep informed. Now, what does this say? Employees, they have interest but they have no power. Suppliers have interest in the business but they have no power. Local communities have interest because if the business grows, they will get job opportunities. So they have interest. Provide adequate information and seek feedback to maintain trust. So what would you do with an employee? You will keep them informed and make sure that whatever feedback they give, we will always keep updating them. So basically the main purpose is to give them keep informed. People with high power, low interest, keep them satisfied. People who are main in power as well as interest, we will say they are key players. Now, this is called low priority. Why we are calling it low priority? If you notice, that is the word that is used here, low priority, because they are neither interested nor they have power. For example, first of all, we call them low priority. General public media monitor with minimal efforts, use unless their status changes, don't put too much money or attention to a low interest, low power group. Your main focus should be, the first one should be the key players, second one should be keep satisfied, third should be keep informed. I can say keep satisfied and keep informed are both at the same level. You cannot categorize in terms of ranking on these two, but low priority is obviously the last one. Okay, so this is called Mendelow's matrix. During exam, if you have a question on Mendelow's matrix, what you need to do? You need to directly start what is Mendelow's matrix, what is the purpose of Mendelow's matrix, and directly jump into this particular diagram and explain them. If there is a case-based question on Mendelow's matrix, what can be asked is how is the Mendelow's matrix utilized in understanding one particular paragraph or passage of that particular case. So you need to be smart enough to identify who are the key players, who are to be keep informed, who are keep satisfied, who are with low priority. You need to identify that and write the same discussion of this paragraph. You will get marks for sure. Now, moving on to the next topic. So next question is going to be very generic, very, very easy question, guys. It's going to be damn easy. What is customer? What are the types and importance of customer? So let us make it very quick. First, initial step for a product or services. Know what your customer is very important. If you don't know your customer, you cannot make a product. So knowing the type of customer is vital for designing what? Product or services. Second, every customer has its unique need and requirement, specific approaches. Yes or no? Now, when you're sitting for last day revision, what you want? You want the entire SM to be done in 8 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours. A marathon lecture, part 1, part 2. That is what I'm trying to serve you because I know my customers. I know what they want. Customer data and profit generation. Does customer contribute to organization profits? Obviously, yes. Do you need to collect data, what customer wants, what is trending in the market accordingly? Yes, of course. What's the difference between a customer and a consumer? Customer is the person who buys the product and services. Consumer is the person who actually consumes it or uses it. Significance for marketers. Price perspective, customer matters more. Value and design, consumer matters the more. When a person wants to consume something for himself, price is not the main criteria that he will look for. But when a customer wants to buy something not for himself or someone else, price would be the main thing. For example, let's say if you're buying something for yourself, if you're buying it for a gift to someone not that close enough, will you buy the same amount of money or spend same amount of money on the product that you would have bought it for yourself? The answer is no. If you're saying yes, you're lying. You will not do that. I will never do that. If you're doing it, you're God, man. But I'm not a God, man. I'm a practical human being. I will never do that. But I'm consuming something when I'm buying something for myself, yes, I will spend money on that. Identify key customers. Recognizing primary customers group helps business focus. Understanding customer preference and needs are very, very important. If you cannot understand what your customer wants, you will never be able to survive in the market. You will never be able to achieve the product capacity, market share, profitability. Understanding your customer is very, very important. We have understood customers. Next question: what is product and services? Linking with markets, product and services connect closely with the target markets. In analyzing and focusing on identifying key product and services and evaluating their performances to check whether the product is satisfying the customer want or not. So, whatever you produce, you should make sure that it is useful for the customer. A lot of people, have you seen that Chinese guy? I'm Asian guy, to be very honest with you. There's a reel on Asian guy. He buys a product which is too much trending in the market, and he buys it and gives you an honest review that product is a gold product or a waste product, or they're making a fool out of you. Basically, companies who can make fool out of you, they can make fool only once, but they cannot keep on doing it. So it's very important that your product should link with the market. Second, product services consideration, decision involving branding, packaging, warranty, and more is very important. Essential products or luxury products in the situation that is happening in the markets right now, China is exposing the luxury segment of the market, which is very, very interesting. Longevity and differentiation. If your product is unique enough to provide necessary need to customer and would be able to capture customers' target perfectly, trust me, you have a consistent demand over the product. But if you are not thinking about longevity, you're thinking about short-term phenomenon, get into the market, sell it, and exit the market. Trust me, if you start doing that, that would not serve the purpose for longevity. Differentiation occurs based on size, shape, branding, packaging, and more. There are a lot of companies which are producing differentiation. For example, pen drives in the shape of Pokemon characters. Is this differentiation? Of course, it is differentiation. Is that going to give you a lot of market share? Obviously, yes, it is going to lead to more market share. Customer-centric approach. Obviously, when you're launching a product, when you're doing something, you will prioritize customer needs to ensure reasonable profit margins over the cost. Making a product without taking customer into the center is basically Bevkoof wala plan, no head in that particular plan. Market share growth. You made a fantastic product, but if your pricing strategy is not right, your product will fail. Combining customer focus, profit and market expansion. Yes, you want profit. Yes, focus on the customer first, then profit, then market expansion. This is the step. How would you do it? So this is what basically is talking about what customers are, what product is. Now we are jumping into a very interesting concept, which is called strategic drivers and customer performance assessment. What do you mean in a very nutshell? First, I'm going to talk about strategic drivers are, Bachalo, what I would say, what is important for a company that makes that company have an advantage over the other. That is called competitive advantage. To have a competitive advantage, you need to have something unique into your businesses. Those are called strategic drivers. Drive you towards success strategically, therefore they are called strategic drivers, which creates core competencies, which helps you to have advantage over the competitor, giving you competitive advantage. These all words that I'm using right now are strategic management jargons, I think, which you should start coping up with. Now, moving on to what is strategic drivers in current performance assessment. Importance of internal analysis. Wow. How well a business is performing, you can do it by only understanding internal analysis. If you cannot check yourself, you will never know how well are you doing. Second, strategic driver identifies what makes companies stand out of the competitor. That is what I said will give you competitive advantage. Exploring strategic drivers. Strategic drivers dwell into what sets a company apart in the market, and analysis includes key markets, customers, product services, delivery channels, and competitive advantage. So, what makes you different from others? That is very, very important. Second, understanding interconnected components. Some aspects are linked, like markets and product services, channels, and key customers are linked together. They are only one part of each and everything. Markets, what do you have in markets? You have sellers and buyers. So when you say sellers and buyers, you're trying to say your company and customers. What are they there for? They're there for products and services. How did your product reach to that services called distribution channels? So if you see, everything in that organization is linked together. Next, think of them as a piece of puzzle forming bigger picture. Yes, obviously. Measuring performances. Businessmen have various ways to measure performances. They can measure either in terms of management choices. Example includes profit-driven, purpose-driven, or custom metrics. They can do anything they want in this particular category. Strategic grouping and mapping. So basically, let me just have a quick revision on what I've said so far. So strategic drivers and current and performance assessment. First, you need to do is you need to analyze internally where you stand, identify yourself, what you can do to make sure that you have a competitive advantage as compared to competitors. Exploring strategic drivers, which we talk about how to keep yourself apart from a market, which will be in terms of product services or distribution channels. The entire market is connected with each other in terms of customer, distribution channels, suppliers, everything. And lastly, I was talking about how management deals with measuring performances. It can measure performance in profit way. It can measure performance in terms of sales value. It can measure in custom metrics, means what? The way they want to manage. For example, now what does apps do? They don't measure the usage, but they measure downloads. How many people have downloaded our app? So many people have downloaded. Now, people, once apps downloaded are too many, that app changes their matrix to how many people have rated us 5 out of 5. So that is called custom matrix. That is basically the way you manage things accordingly. So guys, next question on the list is strategic grouping and mapping. Before I start, let me just tell you what is this topic all about. So guys, the topic here is strategic grouping and mapping. Talks about if there are so many competitors in the market, is it easy to capture everybody in the market? The answer is no. You cannot capture everybody in the market. So, secondly, is it easy to study every competitor in the market? No, it is not easy to study every competitor in the market. If you are a cake shop, you will try to study who comes under your category or your understanding that he is a competitor. For example, if I'm an ice cream shop and I make kulfis, example, kulfi, I am not interested what Baskin Robbins is doing because Baskin Robbins is never interested in selling kulfi. But yes, I'm worried about a local manufacturer who's producing kulfi. If Amul is producing kulfi, those are threats to me. That is what I'm going to study. So I'm not going to study every ice cream player in the market, but I'm going to only study which is going to affect me. Therefore, this beautiful concept comes into picture of strategic grouping and mapping. So, what is strategic grouping and mapping? Strategic group consists of firms in an industry with similar competitive approaches and markets positions. A company in the same group compete directly due to shared traits like pricing, product ranges, distribution, or technology. Purpose of strategic grouping and mapping. It helps in visualizing competitive position within an industry to understand which position you belong to. Are you dominant? Are you strong, favorable, tenable, or weak? That is what it is. Aids in strategic decision making. Example, we are differentiation or cost leadership, which is we're going to talk about in some time. Benefits of strategic grouping and mapping is to reveal how real competitors, who are the real competitors to your business. When I say McDonald's, who is a direct competitor of McDonald's? KFC? No, 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 no. Yes, Burger King for sure. So this is what we are trying to say. Next, strategic planning guides decision in pricing and expansion or differentiation. Whenever you're grouping that, this will benefit you. Risk identification, you will highlight threats from coming rival groups. That is also a very good point about it. What is the biggest disadvantage of strategic grouping and mapping? It is overly simplified using only two variables. So this is a negative part of it. Static analysis may not reflect dynamic market changes. You are based on a fixed two components that will hamper you in strategic grouping. Because market keeps on changing, there may be new business environment will change the dynamics of the entire thing. So yes, this is a problem. Now we're coming up to a very interesting question, which is types of marketing. Let's proceed. Guys, it's a very simple question, very easy question, but you can do it. It's a simple, trust me, if it comes for you for 5 marks, go for it. But I personally believe that this will be a multiple choice question more than a direct question. Social marketing. What is social marketing? Social marketing focuses on promoting social ideas and cultures and practices. Examples, smoking should be quitted in Delhi, prohibit smokes in Delhi, anti-smoking campaigns that Akshay Kumar ad is a social media marketing. Let's go to augmented marketing. What is augmented? Beyond the core product offering additional services. Example include providing on-demand movies, online computers, giving you repair services. Amazon says you buy stuff from me, I will give you after 7 day guarantee and warranty on the product. So these are augmented marketing. These are augmented marketing. The third category is called direct marketing. Interacting directly with the consumer through various advertising channels like catalog selling, email campaign, telecommunicating. People call you for a credit card, people call you to open a bank account, people call you for insurance plans. These people are doing direct marketing. What is relationship marketing? To building a strong value-driven relationship with customers and stakeholders. Why do companies offer these special benefits? They provided for reward to loyal customers to strengthen their market. See, you've heard about credit card loyalty programs. Those loyalty programs are given to improve the current relationship with the company and the customer. So this is one of the ways of having a direct marketing, which is a very interesting way of marketing. Next is service marketing. Service marketing is for what? Intangible services. For example, it can be most considered like they are inseparable. Yes, you cannot separate service provider from the service. You cannot do that. And variability, it is inconsistent in service quality. You may not find the same amount of experience in a movie theater every time you go because movies keeps on changing. So the movie theater cannot provide you the same amount of level of satisfaction every time. Person marketing, targeting individuals aiming to influence attitudes and behaviors towards others. Example, politicians, sports stars, celebrities market themselves to win votes, endorsements, and enhance their career. I would say politicians, do they advertise? Yes, they do advertise. Sports people also advertise. Now, have you heard about Instagram new concept where people try to create their reels? Why are you creating reels? You're trying to endorse yourself. You're trying to put yourself on that small device, that small page, so that you are promoted more and you get more businesses. Organization marketing. Now, this is a very interesting concept. Companies, public opinion about the company wants to change. Whether it is for profit or non-profit does not matter. It aims to create a positive perception and reputation in terms of the. Let's take an example of an Amul butter. Amul butter advertisements are always created with an aspect of creating awareness in the market, creating awareness in the industry, creating awareness about the politicians, what is going on in the political world, what is going on in India right now. By doing this, Amul butter gets a beautiful opportunity to create a positive influence on their customers also. That this company is doing something which is socially responsible, which changes the dynamics of that particular business. Place marketing, beautiful concept, place marketing. People, attitudes, and behaviors towards specific location. It's very interesting. Tourism, to create what? Tourism in certain areas. Enlightenment marketing is what? It's a philosophy and basing on long-term health of the marketing system. Customer oriented marketing, innovative marketing strategy, providing value and having sense of mission and promoting societal well-being. Enlightenment, giving you gyan. For example, Ramdev Baba. Ramdev Baba, what he does is he gives you enlightenment. He says, when if you're using a hair oil, the hair oil should not contain mineral oil. It's not good for you. Because of his advertisement, I've never bought a hair oil which has mineral oil. Because he enlightened me. Because he taught me something which made more value to me. Differential marketing. I love this concept. HUL is a very interesting thing. They create separate advertisements for each product. They don't create one advertisement for all the soaps. They are creating separate advertisement for each soap. Now, what happens if you're bored with Lux? What you will do? You will jump to Lifebuoy. Who makes Lifebuoy? Hindustan Union. You jump from Lifebuoy to jump to another. Let's say you jump to Rexona. Who manufactures Rexona? Again, HUL. You jump to Dove. Who manufactures Dove? HUL. You jump to Dettol. Dettol, who manufactures Dettol? HUL. So this is a beautiful thing that a customer thinks he's bored of that product, but ultimately you're paying the same money to the same company because he does advertising in a differential marketing way. Synchro marketing adjusts the patterns of the product affected by seasonality or specific times. Example, for instance, lowering movie tickets during weekdays to attract. In weekdays, people go to work. There are no people for going for movies. So what they do, they lower down the prices. That is what they do. That is not very interesting. But that's a smart way of creating businesses during Fridays. Concentrated marketing, which targets large specific sub-market or niche markets and approaches enable focuses on efforts and resources on a well-defined customer group. Concentrated market, for example, I would say Complan. Complan's main purpose was to increase the height of people who feel they're short-heighted by drinking those drinks, which will not bring any value to you. I tried my best. I tried that product. Never happened. So these are concentrated on one particular customer segment. Demarketing. Temporarily or permanently reduce demand to manage capacity or congestion. Temporarily or permanently reduce demand to manage capacity or congestion. If you come to Mumbai, you will understand one very interesting thing. In Mumbai, Water Kingdom is expensive. SL World is not that expensive. SL World is amusement park. Water Kingdom is a water park. SL World, people don't want to go to SL World. That is what the biggest problem is. And Water Kingdom, a lot of people are going there at Water Kingdom. So what they do is they charge you higher price for Water Kingdom and lower price for SL World, so that a lot of people must shift to SL World, but still not happening. But that way of doing marketing is called demarketing. Now, there are distribution channels which we're going to talk about. First is what is distribution channel significance? How companies get their product and services to customer? How does the company get their product and services to customer? Strong and extensive distribution channel will enhance competitiveness, which will help you to grow more. Robust channel can act as barrier as new entrant in the industry. Now, does distribution channel help the business? Yes. Going into new markets, going into new geographicals. It leverages to reach new customers effectively. It aligns and suits products and customers perfectly. Now, as per customer needs, and distribution works. For example, healthcare brands targeting elderly customer prioritizing offline modes due to limited smartphone use. So elderlies, they don't know how to use smartphone. So what is the best way of distributing products to them is offline. Second, new drink brands, what they are doing attracting customer, including physical stores and online campaigns they're doing, so that they can attract more customers based on that. Now, moving on to next part is 3 types of channels of distribution. I'm going to go one by one. First is sales channel. It focuses on intermediaries. Fashion designers use this agency to connect their product and services in the retail organization. So intermediaries means what? There's a wholesaler, there's a retailer, and there's a consumer. And let's say there's a manufacturer. So wholesaler, retailer are intermediaries. These are intermediaries between manufacturer and the consumer. So how does this work? So there's a fashion designer. He uses his agency to sell his design to various stores like Zudio, Westside, Reliance Trends. So this designer is able to approach various stores by his agency. This is called sales way of channeling. Then there is a product channel, which what happens with this? Intermediary physically handle the product from the producer to the user. Basically, Blue Dart, Flipkart, eCart, all those services, they have a role in distributing the product from online to offline. This is called product channel. Service channel is providing post-purchase services like repairs of AC, installation. These are all done by the category of service channel. So there are three channels. One is sales channel, which tries to increase the sale of its product. One is product channel, distributing, putting the product in the hands of the customer via distributing agencies. Service channel is post sales process, that is called service channel. So these are three types of channels we are talking about. Now, guys, let's move on to another topic called core competency. What is core competency? Core competency is you are trying to create something unique in your business organization so that people start demanding for your product. That is what I would say is a beautiful concept called core competency. Integrated expertise combine multiple skill or resources, not just one capability. Organizational strength, typical, consisting of 5 to 15 key areas of expertise. If you have one area of expertise, what will happen? That can be easily copied by any other competitor. So you cannot have one core competency. You have to have multiple core competencies. The major area of core competencies are competitor differentiation. The first point is called the differentiation. I would say D is the very important part. Unique and hard to copy. If you're creating a product, you should create a product which should be unique and very hard for people to copy that product. Secondly, you would require continuous improvement in that product. If you don't continuously improve that product, you will not survive in the market for a long time. So the first one is D, custom competitor differentiation. The second is C, which is customer value. If you're creating something unique, that should benefit the customer. By creating something unique and which is not benefiting the customer, then it is with no value to create such a product. You should forget about the product. You should go out of the market then. Does differentiation matters? Yes. If you're creating unique and if the customer does not feel that the product that you're creating is unique, trust me, you have not created a unique product. If you created a unique product, the customer will shout and scream like crazy that something new is happening in the market. For example, search engine, and then there is an AI, Chat GPT. Does Chat GPT can claim that they have created something unique? Obviously, yes. Obviously, yes. Why? Because that differentiation could have also been seen by a customer. That matters. Application to other markets. So this concept is it's a core competency is a wide concept. It's an organization wide impact, not limited only to one particular department or product. It is impacting everybody. It impacts every department. And market has an expansion potential, yes, can leverage to enter into a new segment of the markets also. Now, moving on to building core competencies. How can you build more core competencies? By being valuable, create a competitive edge, which will seize opportunities and counter threats. Basically, financial firms excelling in customer services that will generate more finance to them. Human capital matters. Yes, human capital matters. Right person for right job, right talent in the key areas is a valuable. That's how first thing you'll do is build core competency. Second, whatever you do in the market, that should be rare. That should not be common. That should be an uncommon advantage over the others. Now, Tesla had battery technique, which was traditional, where diesel and petrol. So he did something which had unique competitive advantage, and that made a lot of change. Next, unique differentiation provides an edge only if rival can't replicate. Example, Coca-Cola's secret formula. That is what it is. Costly to imitate. What do you mean by costly to imitate? Hard to copy. Competitors should have struggled to copy or replicate the product. If they're easily able to copy, you are going to lose your core competency like this. So people should not be able to copy your product. That is very, very important. Beyond product cloning, if the products are copied, the underlying process remains unique. Example, Zara's fast fashion and supply chain. Non-substitutability. This is a very interesting part. No easy replacements. A company can't swap an alternative. Example, Disney's brand loyalty versus generic entertainment cannot be replaced. You cannot replace Disney's animation. You can't do that. Culture and talent driven. Um, Often tied to intangible assets, Google data driven culture can be replaced by software alone. No, it cannot be done. That is non-substitutable. SWOT analysis, guys. SWOT stands for what? Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. In a very simple terms, it is never to be studied in one format. It should be studied with an combination of two: strength and opportunity. This is weakness and threat to be studied together. Then there is weakness and opportunity to be studied together. Then there is strength and opportunity. Then there is strength and threat. So it's a combination. You should always study this in a combination in exams. And also in a practical life, also strength, weakness, opportunity, threat does not make anything. Actually, you need to learn the combination. If you have a strength, how can you grab the opportunity? If you have a strength, how can you use your strength to reduce your threats? If you have weakness, how can you reduce your weakness to grab the opportunity? If you're in a worse situation, weakness and threat, what will you do to reduce threats? What strengths that you need to build on how you can cut down on your weaknesses to do that. So, guys, this is a very simple and a very old question which I'm not going to go detail into. You can study it, read it from my notes. It is fair easy enough. Don't put too much head on it. It's a case-based question most probably, and it is a very easy one. Now, what are we going to study is going to be a matter concept. It's going to be a big concept. It's again a beautiful concept. Potter has given 4 generic strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, focus, and lastly, best cost provider strategy. We're going to talk deep into it. Listen to what I'm saying one by one. So, cost leader can, when you can say a person is a cost leader in the market, if he's able to lead on the basis of cost of production, he's the lowest seller in the market in terms of price, he's a cost leader. Whenever we say Parle G, I am always saying this example: Parle G is a cost leader. Why that biscuit is for 5 rupees? Because he's a cost leader in the market. No one can sell below them. Okay. Now let's do one by one. What are the factors? Economies of scale. If you have too much economies of scale, you can reduce the cost. Learning and experience curve. If you have learned and experience curve good in your hand, you can reduce the cost. If you use 100% of the capacity, you will reduce the cost. If you have proper relation with suppliers and distributor, you will reduce the cost. If you have a potential for cost sharing and knowledge with other organizations to understand, let's say, outsourcing, you will reduce the cost. Research and development cost can be reduced to attain cost leadership. Labor cost, taxes, energy cost, renewable energy, shipping cost, etc., can be reduced to become a cost leader. So these are the factors how you can become a cost leader. Now, what are the advantages of a cost leader? First, ability to withstand rivalry. Rivalry, the competitor will not survive in front of you because for a simple reason he is expensive than you. You are a cost leader. You will get the benefit of becoming a cost leader. First, buyer power. Powerful buyers cannot even exploit you. The reason why, because you're a cost leader. If they say, can you sell me a product which is cheaper than this? They will say, we are the most cheapest player in the market. You will not find lesser than our value. Then what will happen? They will say, no, 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 I would like to go to another supplier. Go to another supplier. He will be more expensive than me. Let's go. He goes to another supplier. He finds, oh shit, he's more expensive. He'll come back to us. So this is the beauty of buyer's power. Even the powerful buyers will not stand in front of you if you're a cost leader in supplying goods. Supplier power. A cost leader will absorb the price increase from a supplier more effectively because he knows how to reduce the cost. Barrier to entry. Since you're the lower cost in the market, you're the cost leader in the market, new entrants will not like to join the market because they would be scared of you. That is what is going to happen. Resistance to substitute. Since you're a cost leader, you're the cheapest player in the market. Will a buyer jump into a substitute? When would you go to a substitute? When substitute is expensive. Sorry, when the current product is expensive, then you will go to substitute. If the current product is cheap, will you go to substitute? The answer is illa, you will not go substitute. So this is creating a resistance in substitute. Now, what are the disadvantages? Let's come to disadvantages. The first disadvantage is imitation. If you get to know how to reduce the cost and become a cost leader, trust me, players in the market will also understand and will reduce the cost. Secondly, need for higher sales volume. How can you increase the sales volume? If you increase the sales volume by reducing the cost, trust me, you're killing your profit margins. So you're offsetting a lower profit margin per unit. Now, this is a negative concept. Now, if you're neglecting marketing and research and development in a short period of time, good. But if you do it for a long period of time, you are going to suffer. Technological advancement. Let's say there is a technological advancement coming in the market, and entire cost leadership strategy goes for a toss because the company came up with a new technology now can produce the product at more cheaper rate than what you were previously producing. Therefore, you will have a problem with a cost leadership strategy. So this is nutshell what is cost leadership strategy. Jumping onto a new topic of very interesting of the same generic strategy, which is called differentiation strategy. Now, what is differentiation strategy? This differentiation strategy is also very interesting, which is stating this. A competitor in the market will do what? A competitor in the market will try to make a product which is different from your product. So it's a competitive approach by creating a product or services that is perceived as unique by customers. By offering unique feature, the business can charge a premium price. So basically what is happening here? You're trying to create a unique product plus you're charging a premium price. This is in a nutshell what I say would be Potter's theory. Now, what is differentiation? Differentiation does not guarantee competitive advantage if customers do not perceive that to be unique feature as valuable enough to justify a higher price. Because for Siri, if I have to pay 40,000 rupees extra, as a customer, I don't feel that is a unique product because Amazon Alexa can do that, Google Assistant can do that. Why should I pay you extra 20,000 or 40,000? So as a customer, I don't find it unique. Second, if you create good differentiation, there will be customer loyalty. The customer will stick with you. Second, differentiation, if it is easily imitated by competitors, I am not interested to jump into the market because I will lose the competitive advantage very soon. So if I'm creating uniqueness, as I spoke about in the core competency concept, you should make it rare so that people should not be able to copy it. If they were not able to copy it, you will have the competitive advantage for a long period of time and you will gain more success. Sustainable differentiation, finding the source of uniqueness that cannot be quickly, easily imitated. Same point, cannot be copied. Now, what will happen? The existing rivals, the brand loyalty reduces price sensitivity. If you want to buy my product, if it is expensive, you will still buy it because I'm unique. You're buying me because I'm unique, so I will charge a premium price. Next, buyers are interested to buy it because they have a unique feature. So they are not negotiating price. They will buy it because they don't have alternatives. Suppliers in the market, premium pricing allows them to absorb higher supply cost because you're going to charge directly to the customer, so you don't have to pay from your own pocket. Entrance. Is it easy for entrant to enter? Absolutely not, because to create such a uniqueness, it's not going to be easy cakewalk. It's going to be difficult. Substitute. Differentiated product with strong brand value resist substitute. They won't be substitute for this particular thing. They will kill the substitute if it comes into picture. Disadvantage. Sustainability. The biggest problem is maintaining uniqueness over a long term is a challenging process. You cannot maintain that long term uniqueness. That is not possible. Price sensitivity. What do you mean by price sensitivity? If you're charging too high price, will lead to customer to switch the product to someone else, leading low profits. Customer value. Differentiation fails if customers do not value unique feature. If they think it's not unique, trust me, it is not a unique product. So customers should think that it's a unique product. Let's go to the third category of the strategy called focus strategy. Now, focus strategy is a very small strategy for small set of group of people. So to be very honest with you, alone focus will not work. You need to add cost leadership or you need to add differentiation to make it more successful. Because if you focus on a small segment of the market, big companies are not interested to focus only on a small segment of the market because you will not be able to generate economies of scale. You will not be able to generate more money. So what they do is they focus plus cost leadership or focus plus differentiation. Now, this is a successful focus strategy and copying it is difficult. It's a risk of imitators. Consumer preference shifting towards attribute desired by the broad market. Consumers are able to change their concepts. Now, for example, a lot of people who are lactose intolerant, then what are they doing? They are making almond milk. They are making soya milk. They're creating products that can substitute the main product because they are focusing on only those people who are lactose intolerant. Focus strategy, well, preference and minimal competition within the chosen niche. What are the advantages of the focus strategy? Company can charge what? Premium prices, specialized product or services. Expertise and specialization make it difficult for competitors to enter the same niche. Uh, Both very interesting. Focus. Here, since you're focusing on one particular segment of the market, people who are lactose intolerant, almond milk will be very expensive. Why it is going to be expensive? Because we are focusing on you as a segment of the market, and we know that you cannot go for the original product. You need a focused product. You need a specialized product for yourself. Let me charge a premium price on that. So that is the reason they are charging premium price because they are saying they are specializing in your particular segment. Customer loyalty and brand recognition can be stronger within focus segment. Yes, it will be. For example, Johnson And Johnson powder. Is it a focus strategy? Yes, it is focusing on new infants or babies, powder, oil, and everything. So are they charging higher price? Yes, they are charging higher price because they know the customer is waiting for us. Disadvantage. Company lacks distinctive competencies may struggle to pursue focus. If you're not able to capture the right market, right distinctive core competency, you will not survive in the market. First of all, limited demand because the market is small. The market is small. The market is small. Because market is small, you will not be able to generate huge demands. Niche market could disappear or be overtaken over by large competitors. It can be taken over by large competitors. So this particular segment, niche market, is a different story. Selecting the right niche. Did Johnson and Johnson do a fantastic job? Johnson and Johnson, yes. Toddler Indian market where the population is growing every year. Very good niche market. Skill development. Superior skills to cater to specific needs of the chosen niche. I would say Jain food. If you want to start a restaurant of Jain food and your locality is Jain, trust me, you're going to make huge amount of profits because of skill development thing. Efficiency generation. High efficiency serving the niche markets. Niche segments have more efficiency generation because they will reduce the wastage because they know exactly what their customers want. That can also have. Innovation. Create innovative way to manage the value chain for the chosen market segment. How can you create more value in the same process? If you know what exactly your customer are focused on, that makes a huge amount of profit change to them and brings innovation in the market. Now, what is best cost? Best cost provider strategy is a combination of all strategies, that is the cost leader plus differentiation plus focus together. The first one is value emphasis. You value emphasis means you value, let me put it in this way. You value more customer value. Price is not the primary thing. The primary thing is the customer satisfaction for the money value that he's paying. That is very important. Low cost. How can you reduce the cost of the product? Achieving lower cost compared to the competitors. Upscale differences. How can you create differences because you want to create lower cost, also differentiation, also focus. So it's a beautiful combination of all the things together. Lower price, comparable quality. You're reducing the price. Let's say, beautiful example would be Xiaomi Mi. Mi has reduced the price, but it is giving you comparable quality of products, which makes a lot of difference. Comparable price, but higher quality. If we talk about that, I would say Samsung does that. Samsung, in a comparable price to Apple, provides a far better product what Apple does. Advantages. There's an attracting of a wide range of customers who value both quality and affordability. So best cost provider strategy works for them because it is a cost leadership, differentiation, money value, everything. A strong competitive position in the market due to combination of lower cost and better features. Obviously, lower cost and better feature. And these have potential to capture bigger markets because they are focusing on all the three aspects of businesses. Disadvantage. When you want better product, you have to spend more money on it. So a right balance between cost and reduction and product differentiation can be challenging process. If your product works, rivals might start to what? They will start imitating a product, which will again create problems for your businesses. Now, a beautiful point, beautiful example, beautiful discussion. Let's proceed further. First one is, if there's a rival seller, how would you perform in a cost leadership? If you are a cost leader, what will happen? You will continue to earn profits even the rival starts a price war. If I'm selling at 5 rupees Parle G and if the Tiger Biscuit starts to reduce the price at 4.5, I'm a cost leader. At 5 rupees, let's say I'm making a 1.5 rupee of profit. If he reduces the price, I'm okay. I'm still going to make 1 rupee of profit. If he further goes down, he will suffer more than Parle G because Parle G is already a cost leader. So he has a reduced cost of production and his profit margins are good. So he will make more profits even though there's a price war. Differentiation, brand loyalty. For differentiation, brand loyalty will protect us from the rival. Why? Because the price if increases, no problem. We are giving you unique product, you stick to us, that will lead to brand loyalty. Focus. This focus strategy has a smaller market. If there are too many competitors or rival sellers in the market, the focus strategy will fail. So this is only applicable when there is not much rival sellers in the market. Thank you. Next, new entrant. Creating an entry barrier for a new firm and hence contribute to earn profit. So, if a new entrant enters into the market, I will still be able to make money because I'm a cost leader. So, if a new entrant has to come into the market, he has to beat a cost leader. If he's not able to beat the cost leader, new entrant will not enter into the market. Special differentiation is difficult and costly. New entrant causing entry barriers. Now, how differentiation will cause an entry barrier? Because since you're producing a unique product, a new entrant coming to the market has to produce a unique product. Do you think it's easy for producing a new product? The answer is no, it is not. So again, there will be a problem. New entrant does not want to enter into a narrow market because market is already too small. He is not interested in to jump into such kind of a market. Substitute products. Now, low cost producers will not let substitute survive in the market. Why would a person go to substitute? Because the main product is becoming expensive. If I am already cheap in the market, will you go to substitute? The answer is no, you will not. Allah, you will not do that. Product differentiation. My main dominance is that I'm different from the market. Substitute is going to be a substitute, not a differentiation. So you will still come to me as a market. In this particular segment, let's talk about Jane Food. Does Jane Food have a substitute? There's no substitute. So the people who are working in the focus strategy will still make money out of it. Supplier bargaining power. If the cost of material increases, cost leader will absorb an increase. Rising the product price is the last resort. I will not increase the price of the product because if I increase the price of the product, the both must baat kya hoga? Tiger biscuit will die if I don't rise the price of the product because the raw material prices, let's say sugar price increases, so it increases for the entire biscuit segment. If I don't increase the price, Tiger cannot increase the price and Tiger's profit per unit will go down. So Tiger would be suffering more than what I suffer. Here, if the raw material price increases, what will they do? They will directly shift it to the customer. You want unique product? You want unique product? Say yes. I'm charging you a high price because the raw material prices increase. You cannot even say no now. Why? Because you want unique product. Okay. If the raw material price in a Jane Food increases, will he increase the price of the product? Obviously, yes. Because customer does not have a choice. They do not have a substitute. So I will charge a higher price and I will take money out of it. Lastly, bargaining power of buyer. Buyer does not have any option. So the bargaining power and cost leadership is very low. You want cheap product? Go in the market, check who gives you the best product at a cheaper price. So घूम के मेरे पास ही आएगा. He will come to me only because I'm the cheapest in the market. Second. So guys, we're going to start with chapter number 5, the revision and the summary of this chapter. Let me just tell you, as usual, your institute does not tell us how much marks it is. It says 15 to 20%, which means it may be somewhere around 10 marks to 12 marks. That is what I've told you in every lecture, every chapter. Please follow the same stuff. Now, in this chapter, what are the things that you need to study? The first thing that you need to study in this chapter is strategic management process. Is the first topic, where there are stages, which is a summary of the chapter. When you talk about strategy formulation, you're going to talk about corporate strategies and you're going to talk about strategic uncertainty. I would say this is an important topic. You need to focus on this topic. Let me just zoom it a little. Strategic implementation. Now, strategic implementation is a relation between formulation and implementation. According to me, this is an important topic. You cannot ignore this topic. Yeah. Efficiency and effectiveness, yes. Now, this is a very important. There are two differentiations on this: is forward linkage, and there is backward linkage. This is also very, very important from exam point of view. Strategic change. This is a new topic, which is digital transformation. So this is a new topic. According to me, you need to focus on this as well. Framework for organization, McKinsey 7S model. What is McKinsey's model? Very easy. There is hard S and soft S as an element which we need to work on. Oh my God. The biggest topic in this is organization structure. There are 8 structures. There are advantages and disadvantages. You need to remember them. So it's a very big topic. Chandler strategy structure relationship. What do you mean by that? How can you manage Chandler strategy structure relationship? Organization culture. Aligning the culture with the strategy. Changing a problem of a culture. Next is strategic leadership. 2 important topics: transformation leader and transaction leader, which you need to focus on this. Strategic control. There are types of organizational control and there are types of strategic control. Here there are levels that we talk about. Here there are types of strategic control that we are going to talk about. Strategic performance measures, which is a sub part of strategic control only, but it's a very interesting topic which we need to focus on. Let's start. Let's start a very simple, a very easy question. This is the stages of strategic management process. So stages for strategic management process. What is the first step in the strategic management process, guys? We will do vision, mission, values. That is the first step. Vision, mission, and objectives. And also, if you notice, this is chapter number 1. So you don't have to study this chapter, but you don't study only. Whatever you study in the first chapter, use that information and put it here. So strategic vision is what? A long-term aspiration. What is the mission? The purpose and the core value of why business exists. What is the objective? It needs to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bounding. What is the purpose of purpose? Purpose means strategic intent. Everything what we did in the first chapter, put just on the first point itself. You don't have to study anything. Trust me. Second is environmental analysis. So environmental analysis is based on 2 concepts, internal and external. Right? So this is Pestle. Again, Pestle or Pestle. Then there is industry analysis, quantify forces of competition. SWOT analysis, basically chapter number 2. Formulation of strategy. There are corporate level growth, stability, retrenchment, business level is cost leadership, differentiation, or focus strategy. This is what chapter number 4. This is what chapter number 3, and this is also chapter number, no, this is chapter number 3. Basically, for this question, you don't have to study only Bachalo. What you need to do for this question, you have to summarize the entire chapter that you've studied before. Don't need to study this question. Automatically, everything will happen. Now, implementation of strategy and strategic evaluation control. If you notice, this entire stuff that you see is basically chapter number 5, first part. And this financial matrix, strategic control and corrective action is chapter number 5, part 2. You don't have to study this question as such. I would say this is a summary of the entire SM. Don't study the Baba do this. That's fair enough. You'll pass with flying colors. Now, let's start with corporate strategy and planning. So, the first topic we have is strategic planning. What is strategic planning? Strategic planning shapes the organization and its resources. It is a holistic view, means the overview of the organization. It is concerned with long-term success. How an organization will reach its long-term success. It assesses the impact of the environmental variables, how an organization's impact on different variables are done. It develops an overall objective and strategy. It is a serious management responsibility how to achieve such an organization. So, the strategic planning is a broader concept. So, it is a broader concept. Operational planning. When we talk about operational planning, we're talking about dealing with current deployment of resources. We're talking about current operations. We're talking about responsibility of functional manager. Here we were talking about corporate level, senior management. Here we're talking about functional level. So, and tactics rather than strategy. Make modification to business function but not fundamental changes. Here we are talking at ground level work. Here we are talking at ground level work. So this is the characteristics of operational planning for function level of management. And strategic planning is a corporate level of management. Basically, broader differentiation. Why importance of corporate strategy? Why we need to study the corporate strategy? So corporate strategy is a comprehensive game plan for achieving company success. So it's a very important stuff for the entire organization. Planning options. Organization can choose operational and strategic planning approaches. This is a senior management role, means it talks about strength, weakness, opportunity, and external risks. SWOT analysis at a strategic operational level. Resource allocation. Which department to give more resources, which department to give less resources is defined in resource allocation. Operational plans. Middle and lower level management creates operational plans. Next, let's go understanding strategic uncertainty. What do you mean by strategic uncertainty? Now, if you see corporate level strategy, just write the point headings. This may be asked for MCQs only, guys. Don't focus too much on an answer on this corporate strategy. There can be a distinction between corporate and operational, which I will explain to you further down, which can help you in writing the entire points. I'll give you where it is. Here you go. Strategy formulation, strategy implementation, which is similar to corporate strategy and operational strategy. Now, when we talk about strategic uncertainty, what is uncertainty? Uncertainty means we are not sure about its outcome. We are not sure what is going to be an outcome. For example, definition. refers to unpredictable nature of future events and conditions that can influence an organization's strategy and goals. Unpredictable. We don't know what is going to happen. Is it going to take it in a positive way or it is going to be going in the negative way? We are not sure. Therefore, we shall say it uncertain. There are various reasons why we think it's uncertain. It's technological advancement, competitive shift, regulation, external environment, etc. Flexibility. What do you mean by flexibility? See, there are uncertainties. What you would need to address or solve the problems of uncertainty, flexibility. If there are uncertainty, make sure that your strategy is flexible enough to understand environmental shifts and shifts according to the environment. Your problem of uncertainty will solve. Second, diversification. Jump into different markets so that if there's a problem of uncertainty, you can still make money from the different market. Second option. Keep on monitoring and scenario planning. Keep on checking on what is going on in the environment and keep on doing that so that you can adopt to the attacks, you can adopt to the environmental changes. Monitoring and scenario planning. Building resilience. See, in COVID, people who unfortunately lost their life is because they did not have a good immune system. Correct? That also goes for businesses. If businesses do not have a good immune system, IS I will call it, it will face problems of uncertainty. It will not be able to do that. So create an internal resilience, immune system, so that the organization can survive it. Next, collaboration and partnership relationships. What you need to do is very simple. You need to collaborate with other organizations. Strategic alliances, mergers, acquisitions. Do this so as to face uncertainty. As simple as that. Understanding what is uncertainty. First is political impact. Potential impact. Every aspect of strategic holds a potential trend or event that can influence current, proposed, or event potential business endeavors. Uncertainty can affect your business in a positive and as well as a negative way. See, COVID, when it came into picture, did it affect businesses? Yes. But did it help online businesses? Yes. So potential impact of an uncertainty can be an advantage, can be a factor, or can be a constraint. You need to work on it. Impact. The degree of impact due to strategic uncertainty depends upon SBUs and importance to the organization. Measuring importance. Established SBU significance could be indicated by the associated sales, profits, or cost. So, how can you measure the uncertainty? You can measure in terms of if the sales are increasing or going down, if the profits are increasing or going down, if you're ready to reduce the cost. Tariffs. Tariff is a big issue right now. Is tariffs leading to change in the cost structure? Yes, for most of the organization, most of the country, it is influencing the cost structure. So is it an uncertainty? Yes, it is an uncertainty. Considering growth. See, uncertainty will not pull you down, but uncertainty can also help you to grow. So, such metrics might require supplementation as current indicators might not be fully reflecting the true value. You may be at the current situation may think that this is negatively going for you, but there is a great possibility that things would go in your direction if you manage those uncertainty for yourself. And see, every uncertainty is an opportunity. It is up to you, but how do you see it? So work on it. Now,
Key aspects of strategic implementation.
So guys,
key aspects of strategic implementation. First, executing the strategy. What do you mean by implementation? Implementation means nothing but executing the strategy.
transforming strategic decision
into concrete action. Decision into action is executing the strategy.
supervising continuity. Strategy is an ongoing pursuit and functionality. It is an ongoing stuff. You need to keep on
implementing the strategy.
enhance competencies, improve the efficacy of the strategic execution. How would you use the strategy to the best possible manner? Measuring progress, demonstrating tangible advancement in reaching the targeted results. How would you measure the progress of an organization based on this? So it is a very interesting concept that demonstrating tangible advancements means if you're able to visually see your progress to achieve targets, that is very, very important. Strategy implementation process, translating decision into action. So basically, practically making it actionable. Do you see this word actionable? Second, feasibility and acceptability. Strategy choices that you're making should be feasible and acceptable to your organization. You cannot basically copy a strategy of another organization and implement it. Why? Because this is not a possibility, because your organization has a different way of working. You have different employees. You have a different organization culture. So it cannot happen like that. Second, resource allocation. How to use the resources in the best possible manner so as to create new innovative products, to take new initiative. So that is very important in implementation, is resource allocation. Second, adapting structures. That is what we're going to study today. I told you, there are 8 structures which you need to follow. So here we're going to study 8 structures in detail, understanding what to implement and how to implement and when to implement. Training and system. Training staffs and establishing appropriate systems may be necessary. Now, moving on to this particular very interesting topic is formulation versus implementation. Very easy. Definition. It's a process of developing a strategy and long-term plan. Implementation is what? Executing the strategy. Focus. Effectiveness. How effective? Doing the right things. And efficiency is doing things right. So strategy should be effective. Implementation should be efficient. Now, when you make a strategy, it's a very intellectual and analytical process. When you implement the strategy, it should be operational and administrative. When key activities are vision, mission, objectives, SWOT analysis, strategic alternatives, selecting the best strategy. Key here is resource allocation, organization structure, policies and procedures, and motivating employees. Whose responsibility is to formulate the strategy? Obviously, the top management. Whose responsibility is to implement the strategy is middle and lower level management. Time horizon. Strategy is a long-term concept. Implementation is short-term to medium-term concept. Strategy needs to be more flexible, can be revised before execution. This is less flexible as it may disrupt the operations. Skills required is conceptual, analytical, visionary thinking. Here it is leadership, communication, problem solving, execution skills, etc. Outcome. A strategic plan is a blueprint of an organization. This is an actual result. Challenges is predictive future trends and choosing the best strategy. Resistance to change, resource constraint, coordination issues. These can be the problems of execution. Example, deciding to enter into a new market is a strategic choice. How to distribute the product, how to hire local staff for execution, the strategy is an execution of strategy. Strategy execution or strategy implementation. Now,
guys, this is a very important topic. Now, what does this topic say? Linkages between strategic formulation. Now, it is very interesting when I'm in the class, I talk to students and I always speak about this particular topic. What I say is, you think that you always make strategy first and then implement the strategy. But the reality is different. What is the reality? The reality is this. You actually implement first, then you formulate the strategy, because after implementation you come to know there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of things that needs to be changed. So backward linkages are more used than the forward linkages. Now, what is forward linkage? From formulation to implementation, formulation comes first, then comes implementation. That is what we say is forward linkages. So strategic formulation has an influence on strategic implementation. It involves objective setting, environmental, organization, appraisals, and everything. Formulating new strategies or modifying existing ones is also important. Changing may include adjustment to organization structure and leadership, later to be discussed. This is what we're going to discuss later. The question out here is, whenever an organization wants to launch a product or start a new thing, we start with formulation, then we come to implementation. Let's say if I want to launch a new mobile phone, what I would do is, I would first make sure that I design the entire product, I design everything, I formulate it, and then I launch the product in the market. After launching the product in the market, I get feedback from the market, what needs to change and everything. So from implementation, I'm creating a formulation. So this is a strategic implementation has an influence on strategic formulation. The first line is very simple. If you're writing formulation to implementation, you will write strategic formulation has an influence on strategic implementation. For backward linkages, strategic implementation has an influence on strategic formulation. Vice versa. Very simple. So the first line is very easy. But why we use backward linkages more? Once I launch the product in the market, I come to know that there are certain changes or technological upgradation that is happening in the market. I need to adopt those technological changes. So this is extremely important, which I need to follow. So therefore, it is backward linkages that we say. Next. Implementation of strategic change. Change is one thing which is constant. Change is always going to be there. So if you want to change, make sure that you are aligned between the firm and the environment. What is the environment change? And what are we doing? What should we do to align with the environment? So beautiful point. So to reduce uncertainty. Please remember this. Focus on new market, product and services and new ways of doing things because we want to change. Sustain competitive development for a longer, as long you are able to compete in the market, you will be surviving the market. There is a possibility of your growth increases. So change is extremely important. You need to follow the change. Second, strategic change process. It's a very simple concept. I will explain you in a very easy way. First is need. Recognize there is need for change. We voted this time. We voted first time to BJP. Why? Because we wanted a change. We thought Congress is not able to bring this great impact to economy. Let's change. So we analyze what are the supportive and non-supportive aspects of a business. We scanned the internal and external factors. We did SWOT analysis and everything to change. After you understand there is a need to change the business or need to change the environment in the business, you share that vision so as to manage the change. See, the top level is always thinking of change. But if it does not communicate with the middle and the lower level, that will never ever change. Because these are the people who are executing the change. So it is very important to communicate the change with them. So that they can align their individual goals with organizational objectives. There will be no conflict between them and the organization. You are promoting both individual and the organization. You have to consistently communicate with them so that their commitment increases towards change. Institutionalize the change. Implement the change. Translate vision into action. What are the different attitudes towards change? People may have a negative attitude towards change. People don't like change. You even don't like change. The amount of fun you had in your 12th standard and now the amount of pressure you're taking of studies has changed. Do you enjoy the change? I think you should enjoy the change. You should enjoy the pressure. Pressure is also fun sometimes because it pushes you to perform really well. So monitor and review change regularly, correct any discrepancies or deviations, if any. Now let's talk about Kurt Lewin's model. Raise awareness and preparation for change. Avoid sudden unannounced changes. Unfreeze the old attitudes and behaviors. Communicate necessity for change. Why a change is necessary. Break down customs and traditions. What are the traditions? Why are we doing this? Understand that. Make announcement and hold meetings to promote new ideas. So this is the first step is unfreezing the situation. These are the steps that you need to do to unfreeze the situation. Second, you're changing people's into new situation. Redefine the behavior pattern. Members should recognize the need for change, why the change is important. Develop new patterns of behavior. Method proposed by H.C. Kelman. He says, reward and punishment. People who accept change, give them rewards. People who do not, punish them. Role model behavior. Create a role model. Now, is IPL game changing? Yes. Is it more aggressive? Yes. Why does it become more aggressive? Because the players they're saying Surya Kumar Yadav as role model. They are saying people who come in the first 5 overs and just hit the ball left, right, and center. Is the game changing? Yes, the game is changing. Internal change of a thought process. How to work in an internal change. So these are changing into new situations. Now, people have changed. You want them to refreeze it. You don't want them to go back to the old method. So solidify new behavior. New behavior now becomes a norm. Replace former behavior completely. Continuous reinforcement to make new behavior permanent so that people don't change. Prevent new behavior from diminishing and extinguishing. If we change and people go back to the same old methods, what is the point of taking so much efforts in making changes to the organization? That would not make sense. Continues the change process. Change is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process. Because the environment keeps on changing. Therefore, you need to keep on changing. So, unfreezing, changing, and refreezing is a cyclic process. This is given by Kurt Lewin. Very important from exam point of view. If they are asking you a strategic change concept, you have to write this answer. Extremely important from exam point of view. Now coming back to a very interesting topic, it's called digital transformation. How does digital transformation work? What are the change management and digital transformation? Managing changes during digital transformation. 7S, hard as soft as given by McKinsey. Important topic. Focus this. So, what is digital transformation? See, offline classroom teaching now has changed into
online classroom support. These marathon lectures which I'm trying to conduct for you, which I'm trying to arrange for you, is just to create an online classroom support so that my students, my bacha log, if they require any help when I'm not there with them, these summary lectures can help them. That is what the ideology is. So is the entire education system moving from offline to online? Is there a digital transformation? The answer is obviously yes. It is like that. So using digital technologies, there's a fundamental shift. It's a role in facilitating digital transformation. People are digitally transforming their traditional businesses into online or e-commerce businesses. Change management and digital transformation. It's a process of planning, implementing, and monitoring changes. It applies to various types of organization and government bodies. Even government bodies are now keeping on changing the organization structure. Now, when we talk about key elements of a change, digital change, there are all four key elements should work together. First, defining transformational goals. Basically, what are we talking about? Why need of change? Then assessing the current state, organization current status and identifying gaps. Where we are, where we want to go. Creating a change roadmap. How to move in a different direction because the things have changed. So yeah, I am also planning to do it. Now people previously used to advertise on newspapers. Now is that changed into Instagram Reels? Is there a digital transformation on that? Yes, obviously. This is how they are doing it. After you have understood why need a change, after we have understood where we are and where we want to go, after creating a change in the roadmap, the next thing is implementation. What is the point if you're not able to implement the strategy of change? It's like student who makes a study timetable but never uses it. What is the point of that? You need to keep on making sure that you are following the concept of change. Now, role of change management. It will create new value using technology. Yes, a new value will be enhanced. Ensure successful digital transformation. See, you want to become digital, but make sure that your transformation of digital should be fruitful, should be with a purpose. Crucial for smooth transition. You are able to move perfectly well without any issues. That is crucial for smooth transition. Benefits for change. Define transformation parameters and goals. Identify process and tools needed for modification. Develop an implementation plan. See, even for change, you need to make a plan and implement how you will change it. You will first go to YouTube, or then you go to online e-commerce business. If you're selling products, will you do it your website or will you sell it through Amazon? Everything you need to make a plan for it and implement that plan. Engage your staff and stakeholders into it. Monitor progress and make adjustments. Whatever comes in necessary, start doing that. Now, what are the steps involved in a change management process? Being at the top. First of all, you need to be king of your game. Leadership alignment. Unite leadership. Start creating that culture which suits your organization. Being at the top. Is there a need for change?
If you don't understand the value of digital transformation, you will never be able to achieve digital transformation. So it's very important to understand, is there a need for change? Yes. If it is, go for it. What makes you do a digital transformation? Very, very important. Reduce disruption. Employees' perception change may vary. Employees may say change as a different thing. They may even see as a threat. Oh, new technology, so he's trying to remove us from a job, he's going to make us jobless. That can be also seen as a threat. So, early communication and being preparing them for that is important. Equipping employees with necessary knowledge why change is important. Change friendly environment, empowering change through context and support, information and IT technology for support system is also important. Encourage communication. Communication is the key for change. If you don't communicate with your employees, employees will not feel supportive and they will not support your idea of change. Communicate the necessary of change. Recognize change as a norm. Is a change is an ongoing activity. It is not a one-time process. It will keep on. You have to keep on doing it every time. So it's an ongoing activity. Now, what are the managing change during digital transformation? What are the factors that you require? First, support and training. For change, you need to provide support and training to your employees so that they can digitally change. Expect resistance. There will be resistance from employees. They will not be ready to accept the change like this. They will resist. Implement gradual change. Don't bring a change suddenly. Step by step, bring the change so that people can adapt to that change, work on that change. Prioritize communication. How to communicate, how to work on it is very, very important. Specify transformational goals. What is the necessity of change? Why we are doing so? If you have clarity, your digital transformation will be further easy. Now, 7S model given by Tom Roberts, Waterman, Julian Ribich, it's still called the McKinsey. Why? Because it was made for McKinsey as a company. And it's a very interesting concept. So here we have three hard S elements, which is S stands for, see, what is hard element? Directly controlled by the management. That is called hard S. Now the first one is strategy. Set organizational direction goals. Aim competitive advantage, industry strategy. So the first is strategy, how company is going to work. Second is structure. Those 8 structures we spoke about. We're going to talk about those 8 important structures. System. How you going to implement? Is that important? Yes, extremely important. So this implementation is also going to be important. Next, soft elements influenced by culture, not directly controlled by management, is the first one, is shared value. See, value comes because of your organizational culture. Let's say Tata. Tata, when we talk about, it's a culture that they have in the organization, which makes them very different from others. Style. Here we're talking about style, we're talking about leadership style. We're going to talk about this in upcoming session, which is transformational leader or transactional leader. We're going to talk about it. How do we motivate people? What is the organizational approach? How they work? That is very important. The third S in soft S is staff, which is encompasses the organization talent pool, skills, encompasses employees' core competencies and influences and success. See, without skill, an organization cannot work. You have to train your employees to enhance your skills. So this comes under the soft S category. So these are McKinsey's 7S model. Important. I would say very important from exam point of view. Please do not ignore this. Please study this. So, guys, we're going to start with organization structure. Let me just tell you this question. This entire topic, we'll go a little quick on this. We're not going to waste time on this. There's no too much explanation required for this as well because it's going to be very, very easy. It's going to be direct to the point. First of all, Chandler structures relationship. This will not be asked in exams, okay? This can be an MCQ type question. So, I would not say prepare this question for 5 marks and all that. I personally believe that this is not going to be asked. Now, first of all, what is an organization structure? What happens in an organization structure? There's a new administrative problem that has arisen. You're not able to manage it properly. So, since you're not able to manage it properly, the organization performance starts declining. And then what you do is you try to make a new structure. You try to find new managers. You create a level of management. Then the performance of the organization starts improving. And according to that structure, you now start to make new strategies. This is a channel structure strategy relationship. Now, let's talk about what is a structure, what is the need of structure. It's firm specific, varies from firm to firm. Every structure has its own individual characteristics, cannot be applied to every organization. Exactly the same point here. There is no one optimum structure. Structure is not a remedy. It will not make your bad strategy become a good strategy. It will not make your bad managers become good managers. It will not make your bad product start selling. That is not going to happen. As you grow along, the simple structure will turn into a complex structure. Because your organization grows, the simple organizational structure will become more complex in nature. Let's talk about size of the firm. A small organization will have a centralized function. A medium will have a decentralized. A large will have an SBU form. Don't worry. This is what we're going to discuss in upcoming topic right now. Need for change. As you said, strategy changes, you need to change the organization structure also. Let's work on the first structure. This is the first structure which is called simple structure. What happens in a simple structure? Let me just tell you, I'm giving you a wrong example, but a sole trading concern, a sole trader follows a simple structure where he is the owner and there are people working under him. Is a salesperson, cashier. He is a person who takes all the decisions that directly influence the organization. And what is the staff? Staff is just the executor of those decisions. Now, what are the simple structure risk or features? The first feature of simple is risk. There is very few rules and limited formalization because if you keep more formalities, you have to follow it. So you, as a boss, I would require less formalities, unsophisticated information system because I'm directly related to my business and my employees directly. So if I'm directly related to my business and employees, I don't care for a great sophisticated information technological system. No. Unsophisticated information system would do fine. Frequent and direct communication. This is the best part of the structure because you are directly involved with your employees and your customers. You can frankly speaking frequently, you can directly communicate with them at every given point of time. This structure, the owner of the organization is always involved directly in day-to-day activities. There is very little specialization. There is no division of work. Why? Because there is only single person who is managing everything. So single person cannot have division of work. Therefore, there is little specialization. Now, moving to advantages of a simple structure. It is suitable for one-line product and single geographical market because since you're a single person managing everything, you cannot reach everywhere. That's the point. Now, innovation because you don't require any prior permission from anybody. Therefore, you can be innovative and therefore you can respond to environmental change. Same concept. Strategies, here there are two types of strategy: cost leadership and differentiation. You keep on changing the strategy based on that. Flexibility, since you are single person, since there is single person, you don't have to worry about it. There is flexibility. You can manage the organization very well. Next, disadvantages. Let's talk about disadvantages. Since there is single person, it is not suitable for large organization. You cannot manage large organization. You cannot manage complicated information system. Again, single person, lack of specialization because there is no division of work. Now, moving on to the next part. The second structure that we follow is called the functional structure. Now, what is a functional structure? There are two levels of management. There are how many levels of management? Sorry, guys. One moment. So, in functional structure, there are two levels of management. What are the two levels of management? One is called the corporate level, and one is called the functional level. Corporate levels are CEO, MDs, and others. Functional levels are the line managers, or called the departmental heads. So, how it flows in the structure? So, there is a CEO, and CEO also comes under the corporate level, and there are corporate heads on it. There are corporate heads, and these managers at the functional level, since they are following a function of an organization, they are called functional level managers. Next, let's work on the advantages of functional managers. First, they are very good at coordination because they can coordinate with a lot of employees. Everybody can work together as a team. They can create efficiency because there is division of work and there will be specialization. If there is specialization, there is efficiency. If there is efficiency, it will allow us to help take you quick decision. And since there are departmental heads for everything, there will be better supervision. As simple as that. Supervision. Disadvantage. What is disadvantage? First, there is a problem in communication and coordination. Since there are too many departments, there will be problem of communication and coordination. There will be less career development opportunities. There will be poor delegation of authority. We will never know who needs to do work, what is the level of efficiency. There will be a problem. And if you select a wrong departmental head, a person who is inefficient will take the entire department down. People have low employee morale because there are, see, very interesting. You are a functional level manager and directly you become a boss, corporate, you become the owner of the organization. So there are only two ladders for growth. So there is limited growth, therefore there is low employee morale. Specialists ignore vision and mission. Now, CEO. Geographical areas like how now we're going to start with divisional structure. What is a divisional structure? We divide on the basis of area or we divide on the basis of customer category. So Mumbai Railways, Western Railway, Central Railway, Harbour Railway. We are dividing on the basis of geographical areas. Customer categories. AC class, sleeper class, general class. On the basis of customer category. So you're creating a separate division. What is the advantage of this? It promotes accountability between division managers. So if I am a head of Western Zone, I will work to my Western Zone so that Western Zone outperforms Central lane and Eastern lane and Northern lane and something like that. So I am responsible for my zone. Adding new businesses and product is more easily in the structure. You are Western state. Say for example, you are a company which produces, let's say, simple Maggie, and you're the head of Western Zone. Now you can start easily adding new businesses or new geographical areas. Let's say you go to Eastern Zone. Let's say you go to Center of India. So adding new business products are far easy in this concept. Better employee morale, because there is lot of opportunity. If you have a progress in this particular department, very good. If you don't, you jump onto a different department. Leads to competitive climate. There is too much competition in the picture. There's a lot of competition because between the departments there are too many competition. You can control the local situation very well. If there is a career development opportunities, there are going to be too much career development opportunities as well, because if not in your location, you can get growth in some other location as well. So that makes a very interesting concept, divisional structure. However, disadvantages. Now, to control all the divisions together is going to be a costly affair. You do not find a functional specialist. You want HR specialist in, let's say, Western Zone. You won't get it. So that is a problem here as well. Inconsistency in practices. There are so many divisions. There are so many divisional managers, and everybody has his own style of working. Now, since you have one style of working, will there be discrepancies? Yes, it will be. Duplication of staff services. You are repeating work in different divisions. Let's say marketing, or let's say accounting. Accounting is required in Western Zone, required in Northern Zone, required in Eastern Zone, required in Southern Zone, required in Central Zone. So you require 5 managers to handle this task. If you would have been in one location, only one manager can provide all the services. So there is a problem again. Here is a problem issue. Now, M-form structure is a hybrid of divisional structure and functional structure. So in functional structure, there were 2 levels and then there was division. It's just a combination of, I would say, it's a functional plus divisional structure. So together, it is called M-form structure. Now, divisions, top management roles. Every division is distinctive business. Division managers are responsible for day-to-day operations for their division. Functional activities are performed. What is performed? Functional activities are performed. What needs to be done? What are the steps? What are the process? That is what we say. Formulating and fulfillment in overall corporate strategy. How to use a strategy. To see the strategy is properly implemented or not. Financial control to see the cash flow system into it. So these are the things which is very important in divisional and top management roles. Meaning of SBU structure. SBU stands for what? Strategic Business Unit. Independent planning of every SBU. Own set of competitors. Responsible manager for each SBU. There are 3 levels in the SBU. Starting with the corporate headquarters is the first at the top level. The second is SBU head. Now let me just tell you. Example, Ratan Tata is here. I know Tata sir is expired, but it is still alive in our hearts. So Ratan Tata sir is corporate headquarters. Then SBU head is, let's say, the Tata Motors ka head. Tata Motors head is an SBU head, that is a business head. And every SBU may require various functions like finance, HR, marketing. Every function will be required. So these are functional related SBUs. Now, what are the features? Every SBU has an own distinct set of competitors. So Tata has too many companies, Reliance also has too many companies, they have distinct set of competitors. Regrouping means portfolio. Every SBU has separate vision, mission, objective, strategy and manager, because every SBU is unique in its own way. So they will have separate vision, mission and everything. Every SBU, each manager will have each SBU. Each SBU will have a separate plan. Unrelated businesses can be grouped into one business. So Tata Namak, Tata Sampanna both are unrelated, but can be combined together with a logical reason of both are present in the kitchen category, food category. So they combine into one particular segment. Advantages. Now, let's talk about advantages of SBU. What is the advantage of SBU? Advantage of SBU is resource allocation. Each SBU requires separate set of resources. Second, territorial grouping. Pepsi versus Coca-Cola. Tropicana versus Real Fruit. Territorial units. Fanta versus Mirinda. Sprite versus 7-Up. Maaza versus Slice. A product comparison is territorial units. A company comparison is territorial grouping. Now, whenever you grouping an organization into an SBU, it should be a scientific method of grouping. You cannot combine Tata Motors and Tata Salt. That is not a possibility. So what you will do in this case, you will combine those companies which has some similarities. Concentrate on strategic planning and not on operational planning. Strategic planning is very important than operational planning. Coordination. There are 3 levels of management, which is top level, second level, and the third level. Top level is the corporate head, second level is SBU head, and third level is the functional level managers, which we spoke about right now. Next, accountability. Every SBU is responsible for SBU head. They are able to react to environmental changes very fast because they know what is going to happen in their SBU. Teamwork, you need to work on technology and members. Disadvantage. First, what is Ratan Tata Sir doing? Because everything is done by the Tata Motors head. So what is Ratan Tata Sir doing? So the role of group vice president is often ambiguous. It is an unclear concept. It's unclear, it is ineffective in many cases. And it increases the salary expenses. Why? Because you require extra SBU head for everything. So it is increasing the salary expenses. Moving on to another topic, which is called the matrix structure. Matrix structure is a combination of horizontal and vertical authorities. If you notice, there is a combination of horizontal and vertical authorities. So this manufacturing unit number 1 has 2 bosses. One is called the VP manufacturer, which is the functional level manager. And here is the project manager, which is called a project manager. PM, project manager, and FM, functional manager. So this guy has 2 bosses. One is the functional level manager, one is the project level manager. Now, so there are horizontal and vertical flow of authorities. Home department is the functional manager. Employees are temporarily assigned to one or more projects. Employees report to the project during the project assignment. So, let's take an example. Let's take a beautiful example. Netflix, different projects are, let's say, Suits, Money Heist, Sacred Games. Now, for example, this team of manufacturing is assigned to Sacred Games at the moment. So this is a temporary assignment. It's not a permanent assignment. As soon as Sacred Games web series gets over, these manufacturing unit 3 team will be free and they will start with a new project. They will join a new project. So employees have 2 superiors. One is called the functional manager and one is called the project or production manager. There are 2 flows to it. What is the advantage of it? There are many channels of communication, horizontal as well as vertical. Each project has its own objective. Shutting down a project is damn easy, there is no problem. Useful for which industry? Construction, health, research, and defense. There are disadvantages. Higher employee costs because you are adding one more project manager salary. Conflict in resource allocation between 2 different project managers. The money heist people will get more resources and the Sacred Games, in being an Indian project, will get less resources. They will fight. This director will fight with this director. Why I'm getting less resources? So that is going to be an issue. No unity of command because there are 2 managers, project manager and functional manager. So there are 2 managers, there will be issues. Conflict between managers. Obviously, there will be conflict between, which will lead to what? Chaos and confusion. Which will lead to what? Complicity due to horizontal and vertical flow of
authority. So this is matrix structure. So guys, we are going to talk about the second last topic of firm's network structure. क्या होता है network structure? Let's talk about it. So have you heard about this concept? You are a member, you are making two members. Yes or no? And they are further making two members. These goes on like this. It's also known as pyramid structure. It's a very successful structure. Why? Because it's a series of independent businesses linked together through a computer, fully owned divisions or partly owned subsidiaries. Means what? Basically, this trying to say you can outsource it. That's the beauty of it. It's a long-term contract with suppliers and distributors. There's no physical organization, it's just a virtual organization. There are independent companies supporting it. It is a cobweb-like network. As you see, it's a cobweb-like network. And there are no salaried employees, so there is no fixed cost. This is the beauty of it. So what is the advantage of it? Advantage is you can concentrate on distinctive competencies. So you can create new products as you're not bothered about distribution, because distribution is going to be taken care by the customers only. So that is a very good thing. You can be innovative and quickly respond to environmental changes. You can cope up with rapidly technologically highly adaptive markets. You can use most useful when the environment is very unstable. You can do that. Now, network structure, the potential partners can be source of trouble. So this is one very important. If your company becomes successful on a product which you have outsourced, that outsourcing company will start now making its own product in its own brand name. So it's creating a potential competitor for you, which is a negative point. No teamwork because the suppliers cannot meet the customers, and distributors are two different people. So these have no links. So if they have no links, there's no teamwork. That's the biggest problem. You're over specialized only on few functions. You're not focused on the entire business as a whole. Second feature of hourglass structure. Now hourglass, here are the top people, here are the bottom level, and here is the middle level. You see, the middle level is squeezed. There is no so many people on the middle level. So managers in an hourglass structure are generalists, perform wide variety of tasks, and they are not specialized. Information technology links the top and the bottom layer of the organization, taking away many tasks that perform middle level. Hourglass organization structure consists of three levels. The middle level is the shortest and the narrowest one. Biggest problems are there will be reduced in the cost. Advantages, sorry, there will be less cost because there is no middle level. Quick decision making because the bottom level can easily talk to the top level management. So there will be quick decision making. Since there is no middle level, since there is less ladder, there is less promotional opportunities. And there is monotony because the top level knows what bottom level work is, and almost they are working on the same level of work. Work is same. Not the level is same, but the work is same. So it is monotony and lack of interest. So guys, the next question that we're going to do is called the corporate culture. It's a very important topic. It tells you what the company's value, belief, business philosophy, what are the traditions of the company, how is the work climate of the company, what are approaching problems, what are internal working of the environment. So it talks about the entire company as a whole. So let's talk about very simple. Have you heard about this? A very interesting fact that when you talk about Google, okay, Google lets people come in for work in shorts, in t-shirts. Yes or no? That's what their work culture is. They can. Okay. Have you seen a beautiful web series? I love this web series. I'm fan of this web series. It's called Suits. Have you seen people drinking whiskey in the office? That's their culture. If you go to any Indian organization, if that happens, we would say that's completely unethical, immoral. not according to the work culture or work ethics. So this is what is corporate culture depends from organization to organization. Now, when you talk about strength, when we talk about companies between company strength and culture valuable ally, see, let me just tell you what is happening. You have a strategy and you have a culture. Sometimes this both will match, and sometimes it is going to be a mismatch. The problem arises when it is a mismatch. So, if it's a mismatch, what should you do? So, there will be conflict between company strategy and its culture, stumbling blocks like weaknesses we need to work on. So, let's talk about strategic culture and conflicts. Then let's talk about redesigning this. Now, what is the problem is for you, you need to understand here in the first case, culture is very important. So, you are redesigning strategy to make sure that the culture fits. Here, strategy is important. So, what are you doing in this case? You're redesigning the culture so that strategically it should. So, this is called conflict between strategy, cultural conflict. So, this is how you will solve it. You need to find out what is more important. Is the culture important or strategy important? If the culture important, redesign the strategy. If strategy is important, you will redesign the culture. That is what culture strategy conflict is. One very important thing. Let's talk about diagnosing. I'm going to give you a very beautiful example. I'm going to talk about. Let me give you a very lucid and very example which can help you to understand at your level. I would like to give an example with students in college, okay, are asked to wear formals, okay, because they believe that is a business school's college, it's a business college, and since it's a business college, they're asking you to do what are the steps that you need to follow. The first step is diagnose whether the present culture and the present strategy, whether it is supportive or not. If you are creating business school people, if you're doing a business students, you will try to do that. If you're trying to make an art college, you will not try to do that because it is not required if you know. Let's go to the next part. Talk openly to those who need to change the culture. So basically, whom you need to talk about it, you need to talk about it to the students. Third, follow up visible aggressive action. What do you mean by visible aggressive action? See that things are going in your direction. Management wants to do it. Is management successfully able to do it? Revise the policy and procedures that will help drive the culture change. People who are not in business attire, okay, not allowed in the college. So you are what are you doing? You are creating a policy which would create such kind of a culture. Incentive compensative to reward the desired culture behavior. Give best attire reward or award a month. Monthly do this. Monthly, if you start doing it, what will happen? People will start adopting to the such culture and they will work on it. So this will incentivize. Sixth step, visibly praise. Create a role model basically. Create a role model on this. Recruit new employees who can adopt to the new culture. Remove existing employees. Now, here my example would change a little. People who do not follow this, throw them out of the college, suspend them, and communicate the cultural change benefit. You start talking about once you become an MBA or once you join a CEO of a company or a CFO of a company, your dressing does matter professionally. Talk the benefits so that you can now start having habit of it. Motivate all employees for a new culture. Make sure that every student is able to. So these are the steps that you need to follow for doing a corporate culture. First, diagnose whether it is accurately done or not. Talk openly to those who need to change. Visibly see the aggressive action. Revise the policy and procedures. Incentivize, compensative to reward the device culture. Visibly praise creating a role model. Remove people, suspend those students who are not able to do it. Communicate the benefit of it and motivate all the employees. Now we're going to talk about a very interesting topic of leadership, which is called a transactional leadership. There are two types of leadership. One is called transaction, one is transactional. What is transactional leader? Let's talk about in detail understanding transactional leader. A transactional leader is a leader who works in the current situation to improve the current situation, and he design the steps in controlling the organization, and he builds on existing culture and enhancing current practice. He believes in the concept of rewards and penalties. If you do a good job, you will be rewarded. If you do a bad job, you will be penalized by giving cutting on your salaries or for non-achievement of your targets. So therefore, it is a transaction. What is a transaction? Good job is equal to high pay or appreciation. Bad job is equal to cut on salary. Therefore, it is in a very simple terms, it is a transaction, and such a leader is called a transactional leader in a very simple terms. So such a leader is called a transactional leader. Now, this leader is going to be very useful in a settled environment. It is useful for a growth stage, mature stage. If you notice, this is also a settled environment. So this type of leader is a very excellent leader for growth stage and mature stage. He is not a good leader if it is complex situations. Now, let's move on to understand what is transformation. A transformational leader uses his charisma, enthusiasm to inspire people to work better. He motivates it. Second, how do they do it? Motivate followers to do more than original by stretching employees' abilities and increasing their self-confidence. It can also lead to situation into introduction stage, decline stage, and period of uncertainty. Now, this type of a leader is an awesome leader because he tries to motivate employees to transform them to become the next leader. And therefore, he has that charisma. He has the ability to do it. Therefore, this type of leader is very good in an introduction stage, client stage. B. What are the qualities required? Vision, excitement, intellectual stimulation, and personal satisfaction. Now, after understanding transactional leader and transformational leader, let's jump on to what is strategic control. Strategic control is a process of evaluating strategy as formulated and implemented. How did you formulate a strategy and what are you implementing? So basically, you have formulated a strategy, okay, and you have implemented that strategy. Now, in the concept of formulation and implementation, is there any differences? These differences need to be correct, and that is what we call as control. So, guys, moving on to the next topic, which is controlling. We're going to see what are the types of control. We're going to see strategic control. See, this is the process of strategic control. First, you create a standard that is operational, manageable, measurable, qualifiable, controllable. Then you measure your performance as per this. Obviously, you will compare that. Once you compare that, identify, is there a deviation? If deviation, then you require a control. If there is no deviation, no control required. Obtaining new insight of nature or standard, then what you will do is, if there is a deviation, you will start correcting the process. That is what strategic control is. That is what control is basically, not strategic control. Now, we are going to classify strategic control on the basis of levels of management. The first one is strategic control, management control, operational control. The strategic control talks about effectiveness as this is done by the corporate level. And here it is done by business level, and here it is done by functional level. So functional level works on efficiency, corporate levels works on effectiveness, and therefore it is efficient. Scope, control over implementation, control over department, control over individual task and worker. Target, strategic control is qualifiable, which means cannot be measured in numbers. Numbers cannot be measured. Here we can measure that in, okay, here we can measure that in numbers. That is what we say is quantify. So this is numbers. Now, when we talk about strategic control, there are various types of strategic control that we need to use. One is called implementation control. Out of this, there are two ways of dividing it. The first one is called monitoring strategic thrust. You check whether overall strategy has been progressing as per planned. In a milestone review, you just only see key activities. So this is full check, and here only it is key aspects. Strategic surveillance. When we talk about strategic surveillance, surveillance is used in the word CCTV. It is also used by police that they're doing street surveillance. It's a general monitoring. It is a casual environment browsing where you're not going to detail into it. It's a relatively unfocused, but when you do upper se checking, you come to know whether there is a problem. And if there is a problem, you will try to rectify that. So it's a capable of uncovering information related to strategy. It's a very important process. Let's go to next one, which is called special alert control. Unexpected events, change in the government, natural disaster, calamities, terrorist attack. These, whatever happen, these clear immediate and intense review, and a crisis management team is assigned for the point problem to be solved. Such type of a control is called a special alert control. Let me just bring this to you. In a COVID concept, in a COVID, what happened was there was a disaster and which needed immediate action. So things were taken into consideration, and classes started with Zoom lectures. Now, this is what type of a control? This is a special alert control. Premises control, to check basically internal environment and external environment factors, and accordingly adapt to the strategy and try to solve the problem that is going on in these both structures. This is what we call is strategic premises control. Now, when we go about last topic, which is strategic performance measure, this is just an introduction slide. I'll just keep a very simple. It is, see, what is strategic performance measure? When two companies are compared, they're compared on pointers, or what are the things that they should be compared upon. Those factors are nothing but strategic performance. Now, I will directly jump to the next part of category. The reason why just this is just an introduction to the topic, but the main topic starts here. And I want you to focus on these three slides rather than that particular slide. The first one I have on the list is called the types. Let's compare two things. Let's compare McDonald's with Burger King. When you compare McDonald's with the Burger King, let's start doing this. Who's having a financial capability or who's financially very well equipped? Obviously, I would say McDonald's wins here. Okay. So this is insight to financial performance and profitability. This is one measure where I compared McDonald's and Burger King. Let's compare customer satisfaction measure. I would again say MACD wins here. Why? Because it reflects the meat of customer needs and provide quality services, which I believe McDonald's does here. When you talk about market measures, indicates competitiveness and customer attraction and retention. I again prefer McDonald's because of that statue that they create of Ronald McDonald, which creates a unique marketing strategy, which makes them unique from Burger King. Employee measures. If a person is working Burger King versus McDonald's, I think a MACD employee would be more satisfied with working than rather working in Burger King, because McDonald's has its own reputation which can be cherished or enjoyed by the employee. Innovative measures, being innovative in the product, and environmental measures. What do you mean by environmental measure? Environmental measure means creating a uniqueness, creating an environmental impact that sustain affordability. I would say here McDonald's and Burger King both win because they use paper cups, they don't use plastic, they use paper bags, showing environmental measure. So if you notice, McDonald's majorly work on all the criterias of the strategic performance measure, and therefore McDonald's is superior than Burger King in the prospects. Now, what is strategic performance measure important? It must align with goals and objectives of the organization, and it provides an actionable meaning insights. Now, when you learned this particular concept of types, market measures, do you think Burger King should start implementing something which keeps them attractive, or जैसे उन्होंने रोनाल्ड को किया, the cartoon, that the statue that they made, sorry, not the cartoon, the statue. Burger King should make something like a king. They have made already a king like crown. Why are they making it? So they can make meaningful insights to the product. Data available. Data is based on readily available data, timely collection, and analysis. Data timeliness. Current data, up to date data, and support timely decision making. Whenever you're collecting an SPM, make sure that you're collecting SPM on the basis of up to date data. What is the point if you're collecting an SPM which is outdated? Doesn't make sense or doesn't give you benefit. Data quality relies on accurate data and reliable data and credibility of measures. How can you achieve more credibility? How can you success using those data, comparing two companies, getting value out of it? Last point, a last slide. Here we finish our entire concept. Please share, subscribe to our channel, Yeshas Academy, to get more knowledge, to get insight on every chapter. First, we're going to go to goal alignments. Helps align strategy with goal and objectives, ensure progress towards desired outcomes. Resource allocation. Resource allocation is decision. Prioritize efforts for making maximum impact. Now, what do you mean by resource allocation? McDonald's spends too much on marketing. So, what should Burger King do? Burger King should also spend too much money on advertising so that they can capture more market. Continuous improvement in the market is track progress and enable adjustments. Wherever you require resource allocation to be shifted, you will shift that resource allocation so that there can be a continuous improvement in the external accountability. Now, if you start working on SPMs and you start proving your SPMs that we are conquering on this competitor, on this particular financial measure or customer satisfaction measure or employee measure, trust me, what is going to happen? People would start believing in your brand and they will understand your success and they will be able to measure your success. In this case, the investor would start investing. So, this SPM is important from organization. So, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for being with me for a long time. I see you with good results. I want you to work on Every chapter, every chapter is equally important. Make sure you kill it. Make sure you write in a precise way. Don't make stories. Stick to the concept. Work on the concept only. Do not jumble too much things. Okay. Thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe.